Welcome to the morning after show. My name is Joshua Reimer, and I am happy to be back on the show after a nice little relaxing day off. I am joined by my co-host to my left, Jared Block. Jared, we got to watch football last night, man, and I don't know about you, but it felt relieving, it felt amazing, and it just made me want more.
Yeah, man, it was a great teaser. I shouldn't even say teaser. It was probably the best opening game that we've had in, I don't know, the past half decade. It was a great thing to watch. Came down to the final play, and of course, Brady doing Brady things and spoiling the Cowboys win an upset in the first game of the season. So yeah, it was a very very interesting and fun game to watch. A lot of cool things that we'll note here as we talk about that game. We'll obviously be recapping it, but it felt great to actually get one under the belt, and I can't wait for the rest of the weekend.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, as soon as we saw, like, I saw them score the field goal, and it was like, all right, you left Brady with a minute 40. Like, what were you
Yeah.
expecting to happen here? It's most likely not going to go well for you. Life Augusti, what's going on, man? Let's go. Good morning, Roto Radar Nation. D-Ramified, how you doing? Hockey fan, good stuff yesterday. I agree, it was good stuff yesterday. Little Italy, good morning. Happy Friday. Yeah, it's Friday. Fridays don't feel like Fridays for me because I work so much throughout the weekend. And I know it's kind of the same feeling for you now that we have football back on the table. So, yeah, I mean, it is Friday. Happy Friday to everyone on the stream. Yeah, football was great yesterday. It was a lot of fun watching football, man. It was nice having the day off and being able to watch football. Ended up getting takeout last night, so happy camper here. Happy camper. Will Harp says, morning, boys. Good morning. How are you doing this fine morning? How is everyone doing this fine morning? Jared, you feeling a little tired? You feeling a little sleepy? I'm sure you stayed up
I am.
late last night for the game.
I am. I'm
Yeah,
tired, but we're good. I
we're
did
good.
5 shows yesterday, or 4, so
Yeah, there you
I know
go.
how you feel.
Mm-hmm. It's a rough one. It gets even rougher today where I have to do 5 shows. All my fault because I decided to delay the NFL podcast, but that's all right. We'll live. We'll survive. Zanzibar005 saying, what's up? Good morning, Roto Radar Nation. What is up? D-Ramified said, love the W's last night. Yeah, I mean, I don't want to get too deep into it because I know we have a segment like all around it, but you were super successful last night from everything I saw.
Yeah, we had. I mean, we played the exact same build that we had talked about from a couple days ago. I couldn't get off any of those pieces
Yeah.
without jeopardizing the entire rest of the build. CD Lamb had a game. Antonio Brown had a smash game. I mean, like literally all the receivers had smash games outside of Mike Evans right? and Michael Gallup. So we were on all those guys, all those takes. So we also had 2 people in RR Nation take down the millionaire and tie for first. So
Wow.
it was a great night. It was awesome. I'm happy that we were able to take yesterday and go through all the games and go through all the scenarios and builds. And I was pretty pumped to see that everybody came out on top last night.
Yeah, definitely. Just a reminder, guys, if you don't get the chance to listen to a show from yesterday or you don't get the chance to listen to the full show today, maybe you got some work you got to do, maybe the boss is coming around the cubicles and he's looking around and you got to take the headphone out. Just make sure you can go back and listen to them, whether it be on Twitch or over on the new YouTube channel. You can go back and listen to any of the streams that we have during the morning, whether it be the morning after show or it end up being the Strong Side show or NFL stream. Life Augusti said, Jared on that Dozier home run call. Yeah, I saw Sean was on that Dozier home run call too. Zanzibar said we're effing rock stars. I agree. Andrew P said, good morning. Good morning, good sir. All right, I think we've spent enough time chilling, relaxing with everyone. You ready to get this thing started?
I am. Let's do it.
Let's do it. Let's move into our first segment, which is the MLB Round Table. For as long as we have the MLB season, we'll be talking a few subjects that are MLB based, and it starts off with Derek Jeter getting put into the Hall of Fame. Obviously, this happened on Wednesday. I'm extremely biased, Jared. Derek Jeter is like one of my favorite athletes of all time. I absolutely love him. I grew up watching him. I have his jerseys. Like, I love Derek Jeter, and the Yankees put out this little tribute video about him and everything, and it just made my heart feel good, man. So tell me what you think. I mean, obviously this guy was going to be a Hall of Famer. He wasn't a unanimous Hall of Famer. There was only one vote that prevented him from being a unanimous Hall of Famer. What do you think? What do you think about Derek Jeter's legacy now?
Yeah, I think that this works well for his legacy. We haven't heard from him really, even though he is still in the game. Like we don't really talk about that much. The fact that he's the CEO, the chief executive officer of the Miami Marlins, like we don't really talk about that much. But the fact that we were able to circle back and kind of relive how great that he actually was, I think people do forget now. We're so concerned with like there's everything that's going on in life at the moment. We do kind of forget about what he did and how long he did it for, and at what level he did it, and possibly the clutchest player in the sport. Like to this day, I don't even think that there's anybody that even comes close to that in the game that's playing right now. So, yeah, I mean, I'm happy for him. Like I grew up watching him too. So
No.
the Brewers weren't good, and that's kind of the guy that stuck out. He was in all the video games growing up and all the sports cards growing up. So yeah, I'm happy to see that happen. And it's funny you bring that up because he absolutely blasted the writer who didn't vote for him
Yeah.
during his speech. So that will always go down in history as the one guy who didn't vote for him.
Yeah, absolutely. It just blew my mind because I remember hearing that. I was like, yeah, who didn't vote for this guy? This guy's incredible. Like you said, like one of the most clutch players of recent memory by far. It's absolutely insane to look back at his journey. I was able to do that through that little tribute video that the Yankees had and see just how good this guy was. And he was good against everyone. I saw a post by someone on Twitter where it was like, Derek Jeter splits just don't exist. And it was just going through
Yeah,
his batting average in every scenario, like home, away, day, night, hitting first, second, third in the lineup. And his like batting average was basically the same in every single spot, above 300
but
everywhere. So, yeah, I love Derek Jeter. I'm very biased here. You definitely got the homer bias because he's one of my favorite athletes ever. So happy to see the national or him get put into the Hall of Fame, and it's gonna be cool to see if he can actually redirect that Marlins winning, get some success there. Do you think that taints his legacy at all? The fact that the Marlins might not be a very good team at all.
I don't think so. I think
No.
you kind of have to distance the player versus what he does after his career. I mean, there's not many guys in baseball that even try to go do something else with their career, right?
Yeah.
So the only one that I can really think of off the top of my head is A-Rod, and that's pretty much it. I
Yeah.
know there's others, but in that time frame, in that realm, I don't really see. I don't know. I mean, like people definitely criticized some of his moves early on. I know that he made some questionable decisions in regards to like removing who they removed on the Marlins, and now they're all very successful players.
Yeah.
But yeah, at the same time, I don't think this affects anything that he did when he was playing.
Yeah, neither do I. All right, our second topic, Robert Manfred. Just always fun to talk about Robert Manfred. Talk about the situation going on in the MLB. Hunter Renfroe told reporters that the Red Sox are dealing with COVID issues and that the MLB basically told them to stop testing. Now, Manfred has come out and publicly say, that's not true at all. The Red Sox organization has publicly came out and say that's not true at all. It's going to be interesting to see if there's any deeper digging on this, see what happens with it. But I mean, like, it feels like just a matter of time, right? We're going to get a new commissioner in baseball soon. And Manfred might be one of the worst commissioners in the top three sports, in the NFL, in the NBA, and in the MLB. I know a lot of people give Roger Goodell slack, but like, Manfred's just awful, man.
No, yeah, Manfred's easily like hands down the worst, and you could even include the NHL in that. He's the worst out of all of
Yeah.
them. And it is questionable calling, right? It's just a lot of questionable decisions over the past several years. Obviously, I think there are smarter people in baseball, as we know, that study team analytics and whatnot, and but he just doesn't seem to be the guy that people want him to be, and the league is just they're suffering because of it. So it's an interesting situation. I am not going to touch too much on COVID in general, but it's just a weird thing to see come across, especially when we're gearing up for the playoffs, and that team is especially gearing up to try to make the playoffs too.
Well, it makes sense. That's why he's doing like if it did like I have a hard time saying he didn't do it because it makes too much sense, right? If this team is dealing with COVID protocol stuff and is testing positive and they're worried about all that and like everything that's going on, it absolutely fucks the schedule if they have to
It does.
postpone games right now. Like we're getting too close to the final stretch, and this being a playoff team, what do you do with a playoff team if they have to lose games? Like, it's difficult to play out that idea, especially for the Red Sox, where everything is so close in that AL wildcard race. It wouldn't surprise me to see Manfred said, okay, you know what? Let's just push it to the side. Treat anyone that had symptoms, and just, everyone else who doesn't have symptoms and might test positive, you brush it under the table. It just feels like the wrong move, though, and I think Renfroe agrees, and I'm sure you'll see the rest of that Red Sox team agree too. It's going to be interesting. I mean, it's all accusatory, right? Like, who knows what actually is going to happen here? But it's going to be interesting to see the story play out. All right, Blue Jays, they absolutely are on fire right now, winning 8 straight. They swept the Yankees. Man, I know this is like touching back on the previous conversation we had earlier this week, but the Blue Jays look red hot. We talked about it on the MLB podcast that day, and even Sean said that, like, this Blue Jays team is nearly a lock for the playoffs. Are you agreeing at this point that, like, there's no way that this Blue Jays team doesn't make the playoffs?
We talked about yesterday on the show too, on the MLB podcast, how we're looking at teams that are looking at that last 10 specifically, that column there, and the Blue Jays 901. That they're the only American League team that's anywhere close to that mark.
Wow.
So yeah, they've won 9 out of their last 10 games, and they are within now a half game of your Yankees. So yeah, I think it's going to be a tight finish. I think it's going to be a photo finish, and the Red Sox news is a direct correlation into how this is going to play out.
Exactly, right? Like, that's my point, is that, like, whatever happens with this Red Sox team, it's going to be critical for the Blue Jays and for the Yankees too. It's going to be interesting to see how that wild card race ends up playing out. But I have to agree with what Sean said earlier this week, and just that it's about getting hot at the right time, right? That's what baseball has always been about, getting hot at the right time. That's what this Blue Jays team has done. They've gotten hot at the right time. Usually when you get hot at the right time, it ends up working out for you. So because of that, I think this team is almost bound for the playoffs. And I don't know who the next series is against, but it's going to be interesting to see if they can keep this heat. Guy Barry said, morning, fam. What is going on? QDC said, Manfred is ass. I completely agree. Little Italy said, how can you not vote for him? In referring to Derek Jeter. Yeah, I find it kind of blasphemous that guy didn't vote for him. Anyway, we've talked about baseball. Let's talk about the thing that everyone wants to talk about. It is the NFL, because we had our first season opener last night. Man, like I said earlier in the stream, it was so much fun to be able to watch football again. And we had a lot of interesting developments. We saw both of these quarterbacks look absolutely incredible. We saw Ezekiel Elliott not get handed the ball, and his coworkers around the league, other running backs, were very frustrated about it. And we saw Ronald Jones kind of put to the back for Leonard Fournette. So give me your most interesting takeaway from Thursday Night Football.
Yeah, most interesting takeaway is the fact that we can no longer underestimate the Dallas Cowboys offense. I think that people coming into the season were hesitant on what Dak was going to look like. And just shout out to him for being able to get through rehab as fast as he did. I'm sure he's probably a little bit banged up from last night, but man, he threw 58 times, Josh, completed 42 of those. So the quick math there tells me that's over 75% already off the bat, which is insane. 403 yards, and the combined yardage for passing last night was almost 800 yards in the opener, which is an unbelievable thing to see. So shout out to the Cowboys offense. I'm not sure how many times I'll say that this season, so you get at least one.
Yeah, there you go. Get at least one. I mean, I have a lot of takeaways from this game. I think you did a great job of putting in the article this Cowboys team +9. But, like, I expected it to stay close. I expected it to stay within the touchdown. We talked about it when these odds first came out, that -7.5 looked a little tricky, in all honesty. But, man, I just got to give props to the Cowboys. And, again, like, both of us, I don't want to say it that often, but, like, the offense looked really good. The defense looked really good. Not really good, but good enough to force turnovers against Tom Brady. That's good enough for me. And then good enough to keep them in the game, right? That defense looks improved. That defense doesn't look like the defense that we've been talking about all offseason. And maybe we'll see some different things outside of opening night, but I was just really impressed with that defense. What do you think about that Cowboys defense?
Yeah, I think that They did have a few lucky turnovers, but at the same time, they were able to force fumbles as well. So and put a legitimate amount of pressure on the QB, which is something that the Tampa offensive line, like I had mentioned, they brought back all 11 starters. I know you can say whatever you want about the tight end situation, if he's a starter or not, but they brought their entire offensive line back. They're good to go. I mean, like this offense should be, and they did score 31 points last night, so it's not a bad performance necessarily. But the Cowboys held their own. They stuck it out. They only allowed 10 points in the second half and 3 points in the fourth quarter. So I like where that direction is going. I think that we have. I'm interested to see where it goes from here. Maybe they were hyped up for week one, and maybe they get caught with their pants down somewhere along the way. But I don't know. I think the Cowboys defense has improved. I'm actually more concerned about the Tampa Bay defense from last night because they lost a lot of depth at the secondary, and I don't know how long they're going to be able to keep up with teams that are going to shoot out with them. So I'm very interested to see if you didn't like it. Obviously, I know everybody watched it last night. We saw how many of those guys went down. They already had their starting safety not play in the game in general, and they lost their slot corner, Sean Murphy Bunting, within the first quarter. So it's gonna. I don't know where this team is gonna go as far as secondary health, but it could be one of those things where it could haunt them for the remainder of the season if it doesn't go the right way, right now.
Yeah, for 100%. That was going to be one of my main takeaways from this Bucks team is the fact that that secondary was rough, man. And I had some people asking me like, why is Dak passing so much? Why aren't they handing off the ball to Zeke? Which we'll talk about in a second, the whole Zeke situation. But like, it was just the fact that one, the game script called for the pass, and two, that secondary looked awful last night. Like they
Yep.
got absolutely torched in every which way. Amari Cooper looked like absolutely incredible, and it just every time I saw him catch a ball, I thought back to his quote that he had before the season started, where he said he really wants to prove himself as the top wide receiver in the league. To me, he
Yep.
did that. He didn't prove himself as the top wide receiver, but he's definitely in contention up there. I mean, 10 catches, 11 catches for 100 plus yards and a touchdown definitely gets the job done. CD Lamb looked good, got a lot of targets last night, 14 targets in total. I mean, this passing game is going to be so dangerous for this Cowboys team, and it's going to be a lot of fun to watch how they do throughout the rest of the season. Ezekiel Elliott, what do you think about the whole situation? Do you think that it was just a scenario where this Cowboys team saw an opportunity to air raid here, or do you think it was kind of intentional that they phased Zeke out of the game here?
Yep. So the first thing I'll say is that I'm not going to take a victory lap because I think that was kind of obvious that they shouldn't have ran him last night. But at the end of the day, I mean, 11 touches is one thing on the ground. I wish they would have gotten him a little bit more involved through the passing game. I know he was running some routes, and they did. I will say he uh, did very well in the or the pass blocking schemes that they were doing, and they were bringing him as the pass blocker as the last resort, and he did very well with that. I know that Tampa Bay linebacking crew is the best in the league, and he did show up last night. So, what you see with Zeke, fantasy wise, I'm sure people are going to flip out and probably cut him and release him, or maybe they won't, but they're going to obviously be scared and skittish for the rest of the year now. Nobody plays good against Tampa Bay guys.
Yeah.
Nobody runs the ball well against Tampa. So the fact that they didn't is not a shocker to me. That's why we faded Zeke everywhere. I was tempted to even take the under of his rushing prop, which would have worked out for everybody. So, I mean, yeah, I'm not surprised at all, and I'm actually pretty happy that I was able to call the way that they were using Tony Pollard as well. I think we are going to see about a 65-35 split between the two of those guys, and it's not going to be all Ezekiel Elliott's backfield anymore. But there will be times, and there will be a lot of times throughout the season where he's going to be the guy that everybody thought he was going to be. He lost 10 pounds. He looks great. The one thing that I noticed though was that they made the 10-pound comment right after he got denied a touchdown in a one-on-one scenario early in the game, and I was like, probably could have used the extra 10 pounds there, but
Yeah.
it's all good.
There you go. I probably could have used that extra 10 pounds. Yeah, I mean, it was like I just said, it was kind of game scripted out, right? Like it made sense for them to throw the ball. They were smart to throw the ball because you just don't run against that front seven. That front seven is so dominant. I mean, I think Devin White looked amazing last night. I think the defensive line for Tampa looked amazing last night. It was just that secondary that they have to be concerned about. So, like, it makes sense that we saw this team go to the air raid quite a bit. Just catching up in the chat, QDZ says, F that team with the star. I think most of America would agree with you. Will Harp said, saw very little of Winfield. He's normally flying around the field. Yeah, I mean, like, that whole secondary just looked rough last night. Zeke will be fine the rest of the season. I agree. D-Ramified said Zeke is in great shape. Dak arms, though. Can we discuss it? Yeah, can we discuss Dak's arm? How do you feel it is compared to, Ezekiel Elliott being in great shape?
Yeah, I mean, I think Dak looked great last night. I have no qualms with that at all. I think that the pick that he threw, I mean, he had a couple questionable throws, right? But I mean, I think that's more communication. I think we have to remember that he did not really have a training camp that much compared to previous years. So it might take them a little bit to get in the groove with these receivers. So if you score 29 points on the Cowboy or on the Bucks and you aren't really fully up to speed yet, then I think that this is a pretty dangerous offense.
Yeah, I completely agree. KB Pitt subscribed at tier 1. They've subscribed for a whole year, 12 months. Congratulations, man. Appreciate you being here. Brady is old and seems to have more power and touch than Dak. I mean, it's just Brady, I think, right? Like it's just what happens sometimes with Tom Brady.
Yeah, I mean, I have nothing to say about that.
Yeah.
I still think Dak looked great. I think Tom looked great too. He didn't look good early though. He looked like he was a little bit shaky in the first quarter, but uh, whoever talks about Tom Brady in the first quarter.
For sure. Bacon023 said he moved well too. I agree. JQ said Cowboys going to have 2 receivers over 1,000 yards. Crazy as Gallup is their third, while he could be a 1 on weaker teams. Yeah, I mean, like, you could see Gallup be the number 1 wide receiver. The first team that comes to my mind is the Colts, just because I was writing up an article about them last night for the NFL DFS product, and just looking at those receivers, like, Gallup would probably be the number 1 on that team. He's number 3 on this team. What do you think CD and Amari get to, like, yardage wise? Could we see them both be 1,200 yard receivers, 1,300, like what does that number get up to for you?
Yeah, and so I think that, well, if I had to pick one of these guys, I would say I think both of them get to 100 receptions, but I know that Amari's going to get there for sure.
No.
It just all depends on whether or not we think that CD Lamb breaks out, which he did well last night. So I am on the side that both of these receivers get over 1,000 yards and 100 catches. So it should be really interesting how they use the rest of their weapons. But yeah, I know. I think that we're basically right back where we started last year around week 3, week 4.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun to watch. Hopefully everyone can stay healthy in that system, because if they do, this Cowboys offense is going to be one of the funner offenses to watch in the NFL. All right, let's move on to our next segment. A little bit of name calling here. We finally got a narrowed down list for the Washington football team for their new nickname. Here are the names: Red Hogs, Defenders, Armada, Presidents, Brigade, Commanders, Red Wolves, and just keeping it a good old football team. What do you think here? What's your favorite 3 from this narrowed down list? And give me your least favorite as well.
This is the first time I've been able to react to this, so I'm happy that I didn't look at this earlier. Let's see. I don't know. I think that some of these, honestly, I'm one of those people that I like the football team name.
No.
I think it's cool. I don't know, but some people don't agree with that. I know that they're the only team in the league, so it makes it stand out weird like that, but it does have that soccer type feel to it, right, with the FC. So I don't know. For me, I think that the best one on that list is probably like Commanders or Brigade, like one of those, because the rest of them are just for me.
Yeah, I agree here. Like, I just can't really get behind Red Hogs. I don't know why.
That
Defenders,
sounds like a college team, though.
it
Yeah.
does. It does sound like a college team. I kind of like Defenders. I feel like it's relevant with how good that defense is. Armada, meh. Presidents, meh. Brigade. I think out of everything on this list, I like Commanders the best, but or second best, because I like football team the best, man. I think they should just keep the Washington football team name. Like, you've already done it. People have already kind of gotten used to it a little bit. People already have abbreviated it to WFT. I like
Yep.
him, man. I think football team is the way to go. What would be the biggest mistake that the Washington football team could make here? Like, what is the worst name by far? And I want to hear the chat respond to this question.
Yeah. So for me, the worst thing that they could do would either be between if they go Red Hogs or if they go Presidents.
Yeah.
Both of those would be just Twitter would have a field day with that for forever.
Yeah, seriously, like just two awful names, and I don't even know if I can get behind Red Wolves either. We have a lot of people saying, or we have Murda Mook saying Armada is horrible. Mr. Malakis says Commander sounds like something you drop in the toilet. D Ramified says Presidents would be the worst. QDZ says Defenders were the name of the XFL team. Yeah, so you definitely can't go with Defenders then. Literally said the Commanders and Brigades sound like an arena football team. Yeah, all these names just like don't sound like NFL team names. So I don't know if I can get behind it. Will Harp says Guardians is a good, or I don't know if he's saying a good name or a bad name. Will Harps also says Avengers. Like, I just don't think after putting this team as the Washington football, you already went through the cycle where everyone made fun of it. Now everyone's kind of gotten used to it, and honestly, I feel like everyone kind of likes it too. So like, I don't think they can change the name. I think they should just stick at the Washington football team and call it a day.
Yeah, I mean, I'm the same way. Like I said, I'm a fan of it. I mean, I'm used to it now, and I know that we both live in the NFL space, so it came across a little bit easier. So, but for me, going one step further, it's about the marketing for the team and the branding, right? Like, I think it's cool just to have the Washington football team be the only standout team in the league that has that sort of name. Like,
Yeah.
so that you're already getting eyeballs on that for that reason. So I don't know. For me, I think that it's cool. I don't really think that changing a name is going to really help their situation.
Literally said to QDZ, "You're the only WFT fan in the chat." Yeah, I think that might be true. What Little Italy just said. Mr. Malaka said Guardians already taken by Cleveland. Oh yeah, that's what they changed the Cleveland Indians to. That's right.
Yeah, we'll talk
QDZ.
about that. That's also awful.
Yeah,
But
that's also like that's the thing. Like if you go to a separate name that's not something like the Washington football team did. I mean, even WFT got made fun of for going to Washington football team, but like I think it was easier to stomach at the end of the day because they didn't choose one of these terrible names off rip, like the Presidents, like the Brigade, like the Commanders. Like it sounds cheesy. All right, looking through the chat to see. QDZ said I like Red Wolves or sticking with WFT. Yeah, no thanks. I think I'll stick with WFT and call it a day. I hope they do too because I think that's the right move. Jared, our next segment, flag on the play. I was telling you before we got on the show, this is going to be a segment all you, man, because once I take my day off, I check out mostly from everything. I have a little bit to contribute in the NFL side of things. So let's start with NFL. What surprised you about yesterday's slate when it comes to, DFS wise? What surprised you?
yeah, so the main thing that surprised me last night was how high the public was on Gronkowski. Now, I still will say that I don't think it was a good play, so I'll stand by that. And I think it will burn people down the road if they decide to go that way for the next 12 to 13 weeks, because he won't show up until week 15, week 16 when this team starts gearing up for the playoffs. I'm interested. I don't. Maybe we have to think about like what I don't know. Maybe he showed up because it was game one. I don't know, but it's weird. I know that people are talking about how he's lost weight and he's in the best shape that he's been in. And see, like I'm already getting comments in the chat about that. I don't care, guys. Like Gronk's not a good play moving forward. I don't really need to discuss it. I'm just there's so many weapons on that team, and we saw what happened with the running back situation. If one person messes up early, like Ronald Jones fumbled, called that on Tuesday, he's just gonna not he's gonna be replaced immediately by Leonard Fournette, who ended up going through the entire rest of the game. Then Leonard Fournette messes up, he also gets a little bit banged up, and then Gio comes in. They just have a lot of guys and a lot of depth and a lot of people that can do a lot of things. So relying on that play was just for me. A lot of people play, a lot of public people, like a lot of new players play on this first game and this first week, and I think that has a lot to do with Gronk's ownership from last night.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's one of the like I had people in my fantasy league saying Gronk or Kelsey tight end one after the game. Like that, like I expected that from you to shake your head there, but it's just like it's one of the most recognizable names in all of football. It's Gronk. He's been around forever. So I think you're right. You're gonna see a lot of fish this weekend when it comes to NFL DFS. That's why week one is possibly the biggest day or the biggest edge that we have on the industry out of the whole entire calendar year. It's because you have all these fish come into the NFL scene for FanDuel and DraftKings, and we end up absolutely dominating against them. I agree
Yeah.
with you. The Gronk play was fishy, man. It was fishy. That's what it was. I was surprised to see 2 touchdowns from him, and I think you're right. If people continue to go there, it's going to be something that we're going to be able to take advantage of because this isn't a guy who shows up for the first 75% of the season. And maybe it was just because it was first game under the bright lights. Maybe that's the reason why. But I think after this, you're not going to see much of Gronk anymore. Just looking through the chat, Mr. Malakis gave you shit. He said Gronk. So did D Ramified. He said, no way, Jared. Any big game under the lights, front will be there or on Gronk. Gronk will be there. QDZ said, I wish Twitch had the ability to send gifts. Yeah, that would be actually pretty cool. Rye Guy said, season long fantasy, sell high on Gronk while you can. I want to get your thoughts on this. We just saw him have a great game yesterday. Everything else that you've said kind of leads to you agreeing here. Sell high on Gronk?
Yeah, you look for a trade immediately so you can get somebody for Sunday. That's all I would say. Yeah.
Dude, go trade Gronk for Ezekiel Elliott. I'm sure there's some pissed off Ezekiel Elliott owners out there that might actually accept the deal if it's a family league. Maybe some people that don't know their football that well. Mike P2222 gifting a sub to ECB15CS. We appreciate you, Mike P. Thank you very much. Yeah, anything else stick out to you? I will say for me, you might not be taking your victory lap on the Ezekiel Elliott fade, but I'm taking my victory lap on the Antonio Brown call, man. I knew this was gonna happen. I knew we would see him very much improved, and that 47-yard bomb in the second quarter was insane to watch.
Yep. People will continue to sleep on Antonio Brown even after last night. I think he's the best wide receiver in that group. You can make a case that Chris Godwin's right there with him too, but Brady just loves certain guys, and a lot of them are on his team right now.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun to watch what AB is going to do, if he's going to be almost like old Steelers AB, where like we could see him be that top fantasy wide receiver, and I think there's a good chance that he is, especially with their strength of schedule, which they play the Falcons next week, man. Load him back up on Antonio Brown once again. Can guarantee you he's going to be in a lineup somewhere. JQ said, I still am shocked at how good benching Zeke and playing AB worked out for me. Yeah, that was a call that I had earlier on in the week. I had a lot of people asking me, like, should I bench Zeke? And I said yes to a lot of people. If you had that second running back, I would bench Zeke. Ended up working out pretty well last night. D-Ram Fight said Brown looked good. I agree. Link said gifts in the Twitch chat. That sounds like a moderation nightmare. You're probably right. That does sound a little bit like a moderation nightmare. ECB15CS says, what's up, Roto fam? What's going on, man? Happy to have you in the sub-only chat. Will Harp said Goodwin and AB rocketing over Evans. That's a good thing to talk about when it comes to last night's game. I mean, we didn't see any Mike Evans, right? Like, he looked basically invisible on the field while we saw Goodwin and AB get all the work alongside Gronk. I feel like that Gronk work that we saw last night could very easily trans over to Evans' game when it comes to these games that are more, regular season games, not the games under the big lights or towards the end of the year. I think Evans will be just fine, though I am higher on Goodwin and AB.
That's kind of what my stance is. I mean, I think people underrate everybody, right? Like, I think Mike Evans has never had a season in the NFL where he's gone under 1,000 yards. So just because he had 3 receptions for 24 last night doesn't mean he can't get to that mark again. It's just going to be a carousel of trying to figure out who's the better play for fantasy. And Brady can just, he's the best distributor of the football. So he has a ton of weapons, and they all do different things. But yes, and to your point about the Gronk getting the 2 touchdowns thing. That's going to revolve around certain guys in certain weeks. Like it's going to be OJ Howard one week, it's going to be Mike Evans one week, it's going to be Ronald Jones another week, Leonard Fournette, like so many guys. But I think that the staples of this team are Chris Godwin and Antonio Brown.
Yeah, lots of mouths to feed on that Bucks team. On the Cowboys side, anything that surprised you when it comes to DFS, whether it be guys who were chalkier than you expected or not as chalky as you expected?
No, that was a pretty straightforward thing. Obviously, we have to take a look back and see what happened to Michael Gallup because he did get banged up and then get replaced by Cedric Wilson. So I'm not too concerned with any of that. Again, I think both tight ends are going to be stepping on each other's toes. Blake Jarwin looked good. I knew that they were going to ease him in, but he could be a guy that takes a step forward in the coming weeks. Again, terrible matchup for the tight ends for the Cowboys. So, like I said earlier in the show, it's a very, very like the linebacking group for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers is the best in the league. So I'm not surprised to see any of these numbers. Amari Cooper, at this point, I think I said yesterday that Amari Cooper was borderline matchup proof. This one was a tough matchup for him, one of the toughest, and he still performed amazingly. So I'm not concerned with anything related to the Cowboys at all, actually.
Yeah, dude looked good. Dude looks really good. Almost had me kicking myself that I ended up taking CD Lamb over him in our high stakes league, but that's regardless of the point. MLB slate. Anything surprise you on the MLB slate? I didn't pay a lick of attention to MLB yesterday. It's my day off. I tried my best not to pay attention to MLB so I can get a break. So, anything surprise you?
A few things, I guess. I mean, it was a small slate. It was only 4 games, and we had the Braves being high owned was not a surprise against Derek Fetty. So that's not a surprise to me at all. They did well. They scored 7 runs. I Adam Duvall, he homered again, so he
Let's
has
go.
34 home runs on the season, which is a career high for him. So shout out to him. The one thing that surprised me the most, which was interesting, is I pitched Ranger Suarez last night, who ended up actually being the chalk pitcher over on a slate where where I was on the mound. So that was kind of weird to me against Washington. So I don't know. That probably stands out to you as it just didn't make sense.
Yeah.
Because they were like $200 apart too. So people went with Ranger Suarez against Colorado over against Washington. So I guess any thoughts for you on that one?
Yeah, I mean, everyone just loves to target against Colorado, right? So, like, it's kind of surprising, but not too surprising. I don't know what to think about it. 4 game slates are always weird, right? And especially a 4 game slate on the day of the NFL season opener. Like, a lot of the industry kind of just took it off for the most part. I know our guys didn't here at Roto Radar, but like a lot of people probably just took the day off from MLB research, or at least research less, and we're more focused on football at the end of the night. So it is what it is. It only went 5. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what can do through the rest of the season. Jay Kusta's awesome call on Baez for the DK game. I'm not sure what Baez did, but good call, Jared or Sean, whoever had it. And yeah, that's all that's MLB in the chat. Actually, one thing from Link DFS, I do want to say this. Do you think it would be crazy for Tampa Bay to trade Evans to upgrade at another position? I think that's kind of crazy.
Yeah, no. Again, I think Evans is a top 15 wide receiver. They have 3 top 30 wide receivers, if not 3 top 20. So Evans is going to be just fine.
Yeah, I agree. Evans is going to be just fine. D-Ramified said it was a Sean Pivot call. Go Friars. Yeah, you had that Hunter Dozier call. I saw you had a home run, I think, in the 9th inning, and it was a 2-run bomb. So good call by Sean. Good call by you. Anything else that you want to touch on for Flag on the Play segment? If not, we're going to move on to, I think we have a little video coming up next.
Just the fact that I still think Brett Gardner sucks.
Oh, okay. All right. We're moving the fuck on then. I'm not listening to this blasphemy. We have this little clip of T.O. talking on Shannon Sharp's podcast, and it's a little interesting clip. So let's listen to it.
I get discouraged when I hear people like yourself say that what he can't do it. Back when we were talking earlier, you can't say I can't do it because you haven't seen it done. If you haven't seen me do it, you can't discount me or counsel me and say I can't do it. At the end of the day, nobody plays the game to get hit.
No.
You know what I mean? But like I said, I get it.
Your
Tim
spidey,
Tebow,
your spidey senses, though, T.O. Your spidey senses went away. You know, because when you play.
But you can get those things back in tune. Like I said, it's not overnight. Like I've been training.
Right.
It ain't like I just been sitting on the couch now. I'm just jumping.
No. I know you. That ain't your makeup.
Right.
I'm not even worried.
I've been.
It wasn't for me. It's not about shape because I know you've been training. I know you've been running. For me, it's about being away from the game for over a decade.
I mean, Tim Tebow got an opportunity. He's been away. Granted, he may be young, but it doesn't matter.
You better not go out there and do that.
Come on, come on, Shannon. You already know better than that. Come on, Shannon. I could have played tight end and gave a little bit better effort than what that was.
All right, that's enough of that. So the whole thing is for me is like, do you think he deserved another chance? Do you think T.O. potentially should have another chance or should have had another chance in the NFL?
I mean, I can't say that he won't be. I think he still has it physically. There's no debating that. The dude looks like probably in better shape than he used to be in, right?
Yeah, right.
I mean, I don't know. I think that I don't know. I have to choose my words carefully here, obviously, but
yeah.
It feels like, I don't know. I mean, is it just the age thing? Like, I don't know. Maybe he knows that he can play still, but he's 47. I mean, that's not really like something that we would normally see from anybody. So the fact that Tom Brady is probably playing is why he's doing this. I really don't know. Maybe he wants some attention. I don't really know. Like that seems to be his prerogative all the time. So
yeah.
Maybe he just wants to prove himself. And I think that there would be a team that would roster him. But I fear that it would be more of a stunt than it would be anything else.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Like, here's the thing. You brought up the Tebow situation, and I understand why you bring up the Tim Tebow situation because it really didn't seem like Tim Tebow should get that shot that he got with the Jags this preseason. But, like, it didn't work out well. Like, I just don't think it works out well in these scenarios of these guys trying to come back. AB, I think, is a special case because he's with his really good friend in Tom Brady, and, it just kind of works out really well. There's other guys that take pressure off him in that system. But, like you said, it'd mostly be a stunt if Terrell Owens went anywhere. This makes me laugh. Goosty, huge Ravens fan in the chat, said we could have used him as a running back. Can you bring him back? Add him to that running back room, Jared.
Yeah. If they added him, they'd have like everybody that was good 8 years ago.
They'd be on pace to win the 2013 Super Bowl. So good for them, Literally said the Texans could use him. Sorry, at Roto Radar. Yeah, the Texans could use a lot of pieces at the end of the day.
Yeah, I don't know. For me, it's like comparing this to AB is completely different things. Like,
yeah.
Also, Antonio Brown is like 32 years old, so
yeah, exactly.
It has nothing to do with anything. Like, I don't know.
For sure.
I understand, but like it's a weird situation, right? But I do think that if he came in, he could play better than Des Bryant did last year.
Yeah, I could agree with that. He could definitely play better than Des Bryant did last year. Look, we have a lot of names popping up in the chat. Texans, Lions, Ravens as a running back. Lots of good names. If he did come back for any reason, who knows why he would come back? Who knows how it would happen? But let's say he did come back. Give me your favorite team for him to be on.
Oh, I hope he would go chase a ring.
Yeah,
that's what I would hope he would do. But,
please don't go to the Texans. Like, I know that's the name that got brought up in the chat, but like, don't go lose 17 games this year just to come back to the league.
I don't know. I think it's the Seahawks make sense to me.
I could buy the Seahawks. I could 100% buy the Seahawks. Also coaching up a little bit for DK and for Dwayne Eskridge too. Like, yeah, I can get behind the Seahawks. I wouldn't be happy as a Niners fan in the division, but hey, it is what it is.
That's a good point.
It is what it is.
People hate on that.
Yeah. All right, we're done here. We don't need to talk anymore about Terrell Owens. But what we do need to talk about is our sponsors for the morning after show. It is none other than betonline.ag. And we have one of my favorite segments, personally, is where we get to have some underdog mentality, Jared. We get to take a bet to the bank. And we've been doing pretty well on these. I know last time out, I took the Cubs. They ended up winning as my underdog. I think my favorite even ended up winning on Wednesday. I don't remember how your bets did, though, in all honesty. Do you remember how your bets went for Wednesday's show?
Yeah, I picked the Marlins on Wednesday night when it was against Rich Hill, and they won 2-1.
There you go, babe. Hey, we're taking it to the bank. We're making y'all some money. I hope you guys are tailing and not just listening to us talk about it. All right, underdog mentality. Give me your favorite dog MLB play for tonight's slate.
Yep. So looking through the card here, there's not a lot that stands out that I feel comfortable with. But the one thing, well, I didn't even realize that the Brewers get Eli Morgan today. That'll be fun. Let's see. Who can I back here? Oh, man, this is gross. Okay, we're going to do this. We're going to take the Royals, Daniel Lynch, plus 111 against the Twins and Jacks.
Juicy. I like it. I can at least get behind it. Gotta find something I like, man. There's not much. I will be honest. There's not much like underdog wise on today's card. No. Ohtani's on the mound. Yeah, give me. I'll take Ohtani. I'll back him. Plus 175. There are worse spots that you can back, right? If Ohtani's on the mound and he's good to go, and he could just pitch a complete game and just completely carry this Angels team. D Ramified said, I'm pitching Eli. Yeah, no, I'm certainly not pitching Eli. You might be pitching Eli, but I'm not. All right, you're taking to the bank bet. Who are you taking here? Who's your favorite bet on the whole entire card?
Favorite bet of the card is going to be, you know what? I think you have to. This is actually tough. Let's see, because today's slate's weird, dude. It really is.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to turn the tides here on this Yankees team and go with that minus 121 for Jordan Montgomery.
I like it. I'm a fan, Jared. I wasn't even good to go to the Yankees because I know how cold that team is. But give me Dodgers, minus 151 against the Padres and Joe Musgrove. We've seen the Dodgers just absolutely own the Padres this season. So I would not be surprised at all to see the Dodgers winning and winning big by the end of the night. Little Italy said, okay, got to head to work, guys. Great job with the stream this week. Can't wait till Monday's stream. Yes, sir. Thank you for hanging out with us. Jay Coos said Mets over Yanks. You're hurting my soul, Jay Coos. But the thing with Miguel is that you need to have lefties against him. This Yankees team has a few lefties. They have Gallo, they have Rizzo, they have Gardner. They have a few guys that they can use. Life Augusti said Bryant coming back to Chicago today in a couple hours. You think he homers? I don't know. You think that Chris Bryant gives a little middle finger to this Cubs team and ends up homering a few times tonight?
I have a hard time thinking that he would do it against Hendricks, but yeah, I mean it's a feel good story, right? I think they left on pretty good terms, man. Like he won them a World Series. I don't think there's any bad blood there.
Yeah, that's true. Go Friars. Ask any college football tonight. Looks like a 4-game slate. There is college football tonight. I honestly have no clue if that's on the premium schedule yet, but I am going to be providing for college football tonight. Going to be digging in a little bit to that after we get off the show. Yeah, we have no other comments, which means we can move to our final screen where we can just hang out with everyone, chill a little bit, talk about anything you guys want us to talk about. Yeah, Jared, any plans for the weekend outside of NFL?
Yeah, I mean, I have a friend's housewarming tomorrow just for a little bit, going there for an hour. It's going to be fun. I haven't seen those specific friends in a year and a half, so it'll be pretty fun to see them.
Nice.
Also, this is probably too much information, but my mom is retiring today. So I'm going to go spend some time with her, and that's a feel-good story for you guys.
Yeah.
Oh, one thing we did not talk about, which we should note today. The Big 12 is going to be announcing that they are including all of these new schools to their conference today, actually. So the Big 12 is voting to accept BYU, Cincinnati, Houston and UCF to their conference. So I know that plays directly into your skill set, Mr. Reimer. How do you approach that, and how is that going to change the game?
Yeah, it's absolutely insane. And I'm so sad to see the American Conference lose Cincinnati and Houston. Now, who will ECU get beat by 50 against now? I don't know any teams. Yeah, I don't know. I like it. I can get behind it. Getting some of these teams into better conferences is something that we've all been looking for, right? Like, especially Central Florida, UCF. It's always been a team that it's like,
Yep.
what could they do if they were in a big enough conference? And now they're in a big enough conference. So UCF, going to be fun to watch, see if they can do some things. Same thing with Houston and Cincinnati. I think they're in that same boat. They're not nearly talked about as much, but both of those teams could potentially do some things. I know they're very talented. So lots of good teams in the Big 12 now. I don't know. It just makes the Big 12 tougher, right?
It certainly does. I think we're going to start to see this more and more where, I don't know. I mean, I think that all of these college programs, like, don't take this the wrong way, but they're going to go for the money. So
No.
they're going to just continue to form bigger conferences until we have, like, I know we already have the Power Five, but it's just going to become more condensed in that regard.
Yep, completely agree. Go Friars says not UConn, all better than Kansas. Yeah, I have to agree with that. Nice move for Houston basketball. Yeah, it will be fun to see that basketball team in that conference. Biggie Delt says, imagine having to go from BYU to West Virginia for a game as a student. That would be interesting. Nothing else in the chat right now. Yeah, that should have been something. That should have been a segment. That's what happens when we don't have an AP, because we don't have our AP today. Yeah, it'll be fun to watch, man. I'm excited for more college football. Last week was a bang, and this week I imagine is going to be the same exact thing. But yeah, if you guys have anything you want us to talk about in the chat, feel free to talk to us a little bit. Just so you guys know, scheduling-wise, what's going to be happening today. After we get off of this show, or right soon after we get off of this show, we are going to be going live for the NFL on the Roto Radar members-only podcast, doing our game-by-game breakdown. I'm excited for that. I'm pumped up. I feel really good about this week's slate. I actually sent Jared my 1 p.m. lineup yesterday and said, this is probably where I'm landing. Now, I've already changed it once, Jared. I know you don't know that yet. I already had a 2v2 off the defense and a wide receiver, but like I'm feeling really good about where my process is at for 1 p.m. only. Rye Guy said, I'm excited for the Iowa ISU game. Yeah, so am I. It's going to be a really good game this weekend. JQ said, Darnold and Roby revenge narrative. Don't sleep on it. I agree, JQ. Andrew P. 5488 said, go Huskers. Yeah, go Huskers indeed. Before we get off of the show, I want to make sure to shout out our sponsor, betonline.ag. BetOnline.ag is more than just a betting online platform. Their focus on the player approach has built their reputation on offering clients nothing but the best, from cutting-edge technology, enticing promotions, and the latest sports betting odds. Arguably their most popular and well-known service is their sportsbook, which we looked at just recently. Here you will find live lines for all major sporting events, including NFL, MLB, NBA, NHL, UFC, soccer, even entertainment props. There's politics, there's table tennis. There's basically anything that you can think about. If it's a sportings event, it is most likely something that you're able to bet on betonline.ag. They even had odds for like the hot dog eating contest with Joey Chestnut and stuff. Like, it's absolutely insane to see all the things that they end up having odds on. The live betting, which is one of my personal favorites, I love live betting, feature allows you to bet on your favorites quickly and easily and in real time. BetOnline is the absolute best platform for all your sports betting, horse betting, poker, and casino gambling needs. We are so excited for them to be Roto Radar's exclusive partner for the 2021 NFL season. If you're not signed up with betonline.ag, I don't know what you're doing anymore, man. Like, I don't know. Especially because we keep making you money over there with our underdog mentality and take it to the house bets. Like, yeah, Life of Goosey, they have home run props as well. I know a lot. I have seen so many Roto Radar members just absolutely hammering these home run props. And they definitely have the home run props over there as well. Rye Guy said, love the show, fellas. Thank you. We appreciate it. Will Harp says, go Cyclones. just this little bandwagon fan over here, Will Harbs. One day he's like in Minnesota, the next day he's on to another team. It is what it is for Will Harbs. I see more 9-1 said, great first week of show, guys. Thank you. We greatly appreciate it. It was a lot of work went into these shows, man, and it's nice to get the first week under our belt, and there's going to be very, very many more weeks to come. QDZ said, stream has been amazing. Keep up the great work. Thank you very much. Rye Guy said he is an Iowa alum. Jay Coos said, I'm on the UCLA bandwagon to win the Pac-12. Yeah, I've heard it plenty, Jay Coos. I've heard it plenty. Anything else you want to touch on, whether it be on Bet Online or some of these comments in the chat?
I do want to touch on what Biggie had said earlier. How about, what happens for the schedule now for this BYU team? That's, if you guys didn't know, BYU is in Utah, and the Big 12 ranges anywhere from Oklahoma to West Virginia. So, how in the world are you going to be able to travel as a student fan base? I mean, who knows? Maybe they'll figure it out, but that seems like that's the weirdest thing about all of this, right? Is that they're including this. It's like almost an entire country conference at this point.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see how the whole travel schedule works for them. Andrew Fee said, love the shows this week. Well, Harp said to Rye Guy that we all make bad choices in life, since Rye Guy said he's an Iowa alum. That's a mean comment, Will Harps. Just prepare for it, man. QDZ agreed with the UCLA bandwagon take. Bears 14 hockey said Star L ruled out for Buffalo. Should help Harris with him on the D line for the Bills. Yeah, we'll talk about it when we get to the NFL stream. I'm sure there's a lot of injury news that's going to come out between now and when we go live for the NFL stream, and it's gonna be fun to talk about. Will Harp says, as a Gopher fans, I suppose I support Amos 100%. All right. Yeah, man, it was a good stream. It's always fun to do these streams, and I just keep bringing up to our APs that we need more segments, man. We need to fill more time sometimes, because we have an hour show. We're hour in, hour out here, and yeah, we need some more time to fill for sure. Any other bets that you like maybe on BOL?
Yeah, we can take a look at the NFL card and see how that's adjusted today.
There you go.
Anthony, our gracious esports pro, has provided the information for me that a lot of these games are trending under, right? So over the course of the week, which is, I'm not really sure what to think about that just yet, but looks like the Jets are coming up and people are starting to bet some points on them as they moved up to plus 3.5 against Carolina. That was 4.5 yesterday. Now, not much has changed other than that. But I do think that this is a good opportunity again to just remind you guys that week one, it was fun last night. We crushed everything as far as bets goes. But just make sure that you're not over betting. You're not I know it's exciting. I was talking about this yesterday, Josh, about how you want to lay 10 to 15 different things. It's really important moving forward, just for you guys' overall success, that you take at least maybe 2 or 3 solid things out of those 10 to 15 that you want to bet and go from there. Otherwise, you're going to be really hurting when you win. You could win 2 or 3 of those bets and then lose the rest of them, and then you have a down weekend. So That's kind of what I wanted to say. Also, that Cleveland Browns game is creeping up a little bit. Cleveland now plus 5.5 when we were seeing that at 6.5 earlier in the week.
Going to be interesting to see if that game can stay close. I know we're both bullish on the game stack there from one side. But going to be interesting to see if that one can stay close. I don't know what the 49ers were at yesterday. I know when I looked at these odds way earlier on in the week, they were -7, -7.5. Now we're at -9.
Yeah.
I mean, this line seems to be moving and grooving towards this Niners side.
It's it was -7.5 on the stream yesterday morning.
Wow. So big bets coming in on -9 for the Niners. See what I did there? Yeah, I can agree with the money coming in on that Niners side. And the under is getting played in the Colts and Seahawks, right? Because that's at 49 now. It was at 50.5 a couple days ago.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, you're right. Lots of money coming in on these unders. And I mean, it makes a good point, right? Maybe these unders start playing out because a lot of these teams are playing for the first time. A lot of these teams have new offensive weapons, and maybe we see that play out the right way. Yeah, all right. If you have nothing else, Jared, any final thoughts here?
No, just if you're a Ravens fan like Gusti is, make sure that you are bubble wrapping everybody in your house for the next 2 days.
Yeah, please make sure. Thank you all for joining us on the morning after show. We will be live again on Monday. No streams over the weekend except for I think a 30 lock for NFL, but no morning after streams. So make sure to come catch us on Monday morning. And as always, my name is Joshua Reimer. Good morning and good skill.